All right, everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. Today, we're going to talk about how to raise capital for your apartment deals without chasing investors or begging for money. My name is Stephen Lee Thomas. We're going to give it just another moment or two while we wait for a couple people to join. It's a great topic we've got today. It's where a lot of people struggle. So today, we're going to talk about how to raise capital for your apartment deals without chasing investors or begging for money. That's a very, very valuable very, very valuable lesson to learn. Very, very valuable to learn is how to do this, how to raise capital for your apartment deals without chasing investors or begging for money. My name is Stephen Lee Thomas, and we're going to go ahead and get started. We like to start on time, so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, everybody. So who's excited to learn how to raise capital for your apartment deals? If you stick around to the end, here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to share with you my capital raising system that's helped me raise millions of dollars and how you can copy it without experience or a huge track record. Okay, that's what we're going to do. If you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you all of this, my capital raising system, and how you can copy it, how you can start implementing it. So stick around and we're going to share that with you. That's pretty exciting stuff. But first of all, I want to address the elephant in the room. A lot of people really struggle with raising capital, but I want to acknowledge the fact that, look, it is not your fault. Okay, it's not your fault. And we have these voices inside of us, and they tell us these things that maybe we shouldn't be here. And so one of them is like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe you've tried and you failed. Maybe you've done this and you're like, I'm doing this all wrong, and you're like, this isn't for me. And that's also not your fault. There's this other thing that we tell ourselves, and that is, well, what if I can finally find a deal, but I can't raise a dime? That's just really scary place to be in. And the gurus, all these other programs, and they're teaching you how to get into these apartment investing programs. They make it seem like raising money is easy, but they already have the credibility in the list, and you're like, well, I don't have that credibility. So how do I move forward? How to actually start raising capital? And a lot of these mentorship programs, they only teach you how to buy deals. They really don't put a lot of emphasis on raising money today. So I want to smash a lot of those beliefs today. I want to move you forward. So who is this for? Okay, if you are brand new, if you're a beginner in this space, stick around to the end. This is for you. All right. I am going to share this with you. You can absolutely do this. If you don't have the experience or the track record, you can do this. All right. There's also the other group of people. Maybe you're experienced. Maybe you've done some multifamily deals, but you found out you suck at raising capital. All right. That happened to me. I'm going to share more about that later. And that's okay too. It's probably because you don't have a process to do it. By the end of this, I'm going to show you how to create a capital raising machine. I'm going to share with you my exact process that my team and I use to raise capital. All right. Building capital, building a capital raising funnel the traditional way. I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't work. And there's a better way to do it. And I'm going to show you how to do that today. Everyone else, if they're teaching you like how to raise capital, there's a pretty good chance they're showing you wrong, or maybe they're telling you the wrong things. Like I said, probably because it's built the wrong way. How many of you are honestly just feeling stuck? Like, I don't even know where to start. Or maybe you're in this analysis paralysis. You're like, I've got all this information. I don't really know what to do with it. I don't know how to take action. I don't even know the first thing to do. So what I want to do is I want to shift things around a little bit. I'm going to show you what I call this upside down marketing funnel. The reality of it is capital raising is all about a marketing and sales funnel. And most people don't even know that, but I'm going to show you how that works. So here's what I just want you to do. One thing, if you can just accept this idea for the rest of this webinar, it's going to make what I'm sharing with you a lot easier. Okay. So just accept that if you can accept the fastest way and the most predictable way to raise capital is by taking this funnel and flipping it upside down, and you're actually going to start with your conversion system first, everything else is going to fall into place. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like. Okay. Is that exciting? If you never met me before, my name is Stephen Lee Thomas. I'm a multifamily investor. I am an entrepreneur. I am a podcast host, and I'm a business coach, and I teach people how to raise capital for their multifamily deals. A little bit more about my partners and I. So we've done nearly 3,500 units across 16 deals. We've bought that as general partners, and these are not small deals. These are large deals, and a number of those have gone full cycle, right? You'll see these are anywhere from like 70 units to 400 units. And the way we're able to do that is by raising a lot of capital. So my partners and I, we've raised over $70 million in capital. And we did that by following a proven system. We did that by building trust. We did that by getting more leads. But it wasn't always that way. Okay. I know that building a capital raising process the right way, I'll tell you, it changed everything for me. But I really struggled at first when it came to raising capital. I really thought that raising capital was all about going to these networking events and getting some business cards. And my first deal, I fell flat on my face. I only raised money from one person. So I figured I just wasn't cut out for capital raising. I'm like, no, that's just not for me. And so I have spent years, I've spent tens of thousands of dollars figuring out how to raise capital. And here's what I learned. Raising capital isn't about a fancy website. It's not about getting thousands of leads. Everything I taught and everything I read about raising capital was actually wrong. And I learned I had to build my marketing funnel backwards. So look, I know that my story is not unique. I'm not anything special, but maybe for you, you already know, you figured out how important raising capital is, but you don't know where to start. Or maybe, you believe in this business. You really, truly believe in it. But raising capital, it still feels awkward and it's like slow and uncertain. And it's just something that you're just really uncomfortable with. Or you might have even heard, just find a deal and the money will follow. And that hasn't worked. And I'll tell you from experience, it's not the right approach. That is not how to raise capital. So real quick, I want to break a few myths when it comes to raising capital. All right. First is you might think you just need more leads. That's not necessarily true. I'm going to break down for you why that isn't the case. It's not just about getting more leads. Okay. The other one here is you might be telling yourself you need a deal before you can raise capital. And that is absolutely not true. Every week I meet with people and I get them to commit to investing in deals I don't even have yet, right? I get them to invest in the idea of the future of what it would be like if they were to invest in a deal. That's what I do. Okay. And then by the time I have a deal, they're hot and they're ready. The other one is if a deal is good, the money will follow. That is not true. Absolutely not. If you've got two deals side by side and one person's been doing a whole lot of work and keeping their investor database nice and warm and providing education and getting to know them, and you got someone else who hasn't done anything, but they reached out to you a year and a half after you first met them, who are you going to go with? Okay. That's not true. And the other one here is you don't need a fancy website. A lot of people think I got to start with creating this brand, this logo, this website. Nope, not true. You don't have to have any of those things. All right. So who wants to learn how to raise $1 million or more for your next deal? Who wants to do that? Who wants to learn how to raise $1 million or more for your next deal? Maybe you want to help somebody out. Maybe somebody else has got a deal and they're reaching out to you and they're like, hey, can you help raise some capital? Because I can tell you, if you could figure out how to do this, if you could figure out how to do this, you will be the most popular person in the room. You're going to be an MVP. People are going to be reaching out to you all the time and saying, hey, we want to invite you into our deal because we know you can raise capital. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to cover these 3 secrets. Secret number 1 is you don't need more leads. You need a conversion system. I'm going to break that down for you. Secret number 2 is you don't need a track record to start. You need to build trust. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And then secret number 3 is don't wait for a deal to raise money. You need to raise money long before you have a deal. It makes it so much easier. And I'm going to break that down for you as well. All right. Secret number 1. You don't need more leads, you need a conversion system. So for my first deal, I had spent a couple of years attending these networking events and collecting business cards, and I added them to my database. And so I have this box of business cards on my desk as a reminder that that doesn't work. Um, what I did, I had joined this program, multifamily investing program, and they said, hey, you need to build this investor database. Well, I have a background in IT. And I was like, cool, I'm going to build an access database. I literally built an access database so that I had all these people on deck. And I thought that if I had built this list of investors, that I'd be able to raise capital without any problems. I even had one of the coaches tell me, look, if you've got your list, you're going to be able to raise capital. Don't worry about it. So I got my first deal. We had our webinar, sent out a few hundred emails, and guess what happened? It was crickets. That silence that just happened right now, that's what happened to me. It was a very awkward silence, and it sucked. I was like, man, like I really suck at raising capital. I felt really bad. It was a big deal. We needed to raise millions and millions of dollars. I had found the deal. I was putting it together. I'd done the underwriting, and I couldn't raise any money. In fact, I only actually raised money from one person, so $50,000, and so my partners were able to come in and they raised the rest of the money. And but here's the thing: is I wasn't ready to give up. Eventually, I ended up hiring a coach, and we worked on this for quite a while. And what I learned was that even though I'd been building this database and still getting these leads in there, these people to potentially invest, I didn't have a conversion system. I didn't have a way to take these leads and actually turn them into investors. Okay. So I want you to let that sink in for a little bit. A lot of you probably know some people already, but you're like, I don't know what the hell to say to them. Like, what do I say? How do I do this? How do I get them warmed up to the point where they might even invest with me? All right. So I'm going to break this down for you a little bit. I'm not going to go too deep into details, but I'm going to share with you this concept of a marketing funnel. This is really the way you're going to raise capital. This is, if you think of it like this, is kind of like your machine you're gonna implement. So I'm going to break this down for you. I'm going to go through this. I'm going to hit the high points. But here's how this works. You have these different stages right here in a marketing funnel. I'm going to break this down in more detail later, but you have to understand this concept if I'm saying you got to flip this thing upside down. So you have to start with awareness. So you have to get people aware of what it is you're doing in the marketing funnel. And this could be social media posts. Maybe you're posting on some webinars. And then everything you need to do is you have to move them through this funnel until you get them to invest down here. And we do this by what we call a call to action, a CTA. So the next thing we do is, now that they're aware of what we do, think of it like a billboard. You're driving down the road, you see this billboard on the side of the road for your favorite restaurant. Like, oh, hey, that's great. Like, now I know that it's there. And then you got to get them interested. So this is where you start to provide some educational content. Maybe you do some email nurturing. And your call to action is you're saying, hey, now that you're aware of me, now that you've got some interest, why don't we get you into a one-on-one call? That's what I like to do, is get somebody on a one-on-one call. So I'm literally like, I'm moving them through. I'm reaching my hand out and I'm moving them through this funnel. So then we get down over here into the conversion aspect of things. And that might be where what I like to do is an apartment investing overview, or maybe it's a specific deal webinar. And then my call to action is, would you like to invest in a deal? Like, I literally, would you like to invest in a deal? That's my call to action. And then we have this final phase down here. It's called loyalty. And this is where you start doing biweekly newsletters, quarterly investor calls, get them to invest in another deal and ask for referrals. All right. So this is essentially the framework that you're going to want to follow. Now, when I got into apartment investing and people were talking about raising capital, nobody taught this to me, like nobody. And I was in a room with hundreds of people. Nobody ever shared this with me. The coaching program I was in for that time didn't share it with me. I had to go and get additional coaching for this. Okay. But let me break this down for you a little bit more. Okay. So secret one is, you don't need more leads. You need a conversion system. And this is the best way I can explain this, because if you don't have a way to take these people that you might already know, maybe you don't know, and actually have that conversation with them and get them to commit to a deal, it's just like this. It's like you're getting new leads, you put them into your funnel, you don't have any way to convert them into investing in a deal, and they just come right out the bottom. And that's where a lot of people really, really, really fail. All right. So let me put this in a little bit different perspective to just bring it home. You don't really need more leads to start with. What you need to start with is a conversion system, that bottom of the funnel. And to really clarify this, the difference is, and this is what happened to me, okay? 500 people on my list. I had a few hundred people on my list, and I only raised from one person. So it wasn't about the volume of people I had. It wasn't the hundreds of people that were there. I didn't I didn't know how to convert them into investors, because there's some people I know that they get, a handful of very warm investors, and maybe 5 warm investors that get you $500,000 in soft commitments. So do you see the difference there? Is it starting to make sense how if you have a conversion system, that's more important than getting more leads? Because if you're just getting all these people in, oh, I've got to go do these other things, you're getting more people in, it doesn't matter if you don't know what to do with them. So you have to be able to build this process. You have to be able to start at the bottom of the funnel. So what I'm telling you to do is, if you're starting to figure out this capital raising thing, what you want to do is you're going to start at the bottom. Okay. So you're going to build the bottom up. So you're going to work on, how do I get calls scheduled? How do I get these one-on-one calls? What do I say in these calls to actually get people to give me a soft commitment? How do I get somebody to invest in a deal before I have a deal? You figure that out, everything else is easier. I promise you, everything else you do, all the other effort you do, becomes so much easier. Okay. From there, what you're going to do is you're going to move on. You're going to learn how to do your newsletters. You're going to start doing some webinars. And when you got it, you got case studies. These things work great. Then it makes sense to go in and work on these lead magnets, go crazy after social media. Maybe even you start running some ads. Okay. But if you're doing these things and you don't have this stuff figured out, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money. You got to figure out from the bottom first. All right. So I want to give you an example of this. So this is Scarlett. She's part of this Skool community that we run, and some of you may have seen some of her posts in here. So she recently joined the capital raising program that we run, and she called me the other day, and she was just really overwhelmed by the whole process. And she said, she's like, I don't know what to do. I have all these other things I need to build. And she was really focused on what I'll say is the top of the funnel. And I said, Scarlett, I said, just focus for right now. I just want you to focus on the bottom of the funnel. Just focus on having your very first conversation. Like, what does that conversation look like? I just want you to focus on that. And then, so here's what happened. It was really cool. So in less than a week from joining the program, and then we had that call, and then in less than 24 hours, so we chatted in the afternoon. She sent this message to the group in the morning. So it was less than 24 hours after the call. She sent this message to the group, and she said, today I raised my first $50,000 from one of my investor friends, and there's also the possibility of partnering on future deals. And I thought that was so cool. That was just really shifting mindset and where to focus. And that is a perfect example of, if you worry about all these other things, you're spending your efforts on the wrong things first. Figure out how to have that conversation, and this can work for you. Okay. So 3 steps to build the bottom of your funnel. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Map out your funnel. You're going to start at the bottom. So start with your goal, and then focus on getting these soft commitments. I love soft commitments. Then you're going to work backwards, and you're going to design your trust building steps. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Number 2 is you create your soft commitment assets. So you need to come up with some type of a pitch deck. What is it you're going to show them? I like to get a soft commitment form. You can do this really easily using a Google Doc or a Google form. And then, what does that one-on-one call look like? How can you have that conversation before you go chasing those leads? Because if you can, I promise you, if you can figure out, get a nice pitch deck that talks about apartment investing overview in general, walk them through that, get a soft commitment from them, and really, like, how do you have that conversation, that one-on-one call? That's gold right there. That is gold. That is going to make you be able to raise millions of dollars, just this alone. Okay. And then what I recommend is before you go and try to get, thousands of new leads to invest in your deals, refine your system. Start with a few warm leads before you start driving too much cold traffic. That's going to give you a whole lot of confidence, going to give you a lot of practice. You're going to get to refine things, okay? And then you're going to figure out what works, what you need to tweak, and then you're going to be able to scale from there. Okay? So is this cool? Is this helping you guys out? Are you understanding now how you just need to focus on, first things first, figure this piece out, and everything else you do, it's going to stack and it's going to layer and it's going to get a whole lot easier for you. Let's move on to secret number 2. So secret number 2 is you don't honestly need this crazy track record to start. You need to build trust. And a lot of us, we tell ourselves like, I can't raise capital because I haven't done a deal or I haven't gone full cycle on a deal. Well, interesting, because I used to think the same thing. So I remember one night, my wife and we went to dinner with some of our friends, and the topic came up about my apartment investing and how it worked. And what I thought is, I didn't think it was going to end up anywhere. I thought they were just being polite, asking me how it worked. I had recently gotten into my first deal. I was still working my W-2 job. I didn't really have a track record to speak of. The story I was telling myself is that I'm not going to be able to raise capital from them because, like I said, I haven't done a deal. I haven't gone full cycle on a deal. And here's what ended up happening. It was actually very interesting. It was very enlightening. So before we left that dinner, they actually committed to invest $100,000 in my next deal. And I was like, that's awesome. That was just like beautiful moment. And not only did they decide to invest, but they said they're going to pull from their retirement savings to invest in the deal, which I thought that was like really cool. They had really had a lot of trust in me. So as we were leaving, here's what they told me. So the reason we're deciding to invest with you, it's because we trust you. We trust that you're going to do the things you're telling us. So what I really learned in that moment is that people aren't really investing in the deal, the mechanics, like, the numbers you show them are great, but they're actually investing in you and your ability to follow through with your promises. Are you going to show up? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? Are you committed to this? Right? So they'd never even seen a deal. I'd never even shared anything with them about a deal, but it was their trust in me that gave them the confidence to invest. So after that dinner and that $100,000 soft commitment, I started thinking to myself, what actually made them confident investing with me? Because I hadn't seen a deal. I had barely even gotten into my first deal. There's no track record. I didn't have a fancy brand. I didn't have a fancy website, any of that kind of stuff. And if I did, they hadn't even seen it. And so I really started thinking about it, and I was like, well, if it's trust that unlocks capital, then I need to build a system on purpose to actually build trust. Okay. So, and that's what led to what I call the trust bridge. And capital raising is a lot like this image you see on the screen. So you're here, you're the investor, you're the person leading them away from, maybe they've struggled with the stock market, maybe they started late and they want to accelerate their retirement funds faster, maybe they want to pay less in taxes, maybe they want to diversify, right? But you're the person over here that can help them solve those problems, and they're over here on the other side of this canyon. Okay. And it's a big leap of faith to do that, because traditionally, people aren't taught about these types of alternative investments. So your job is to build this trust bridge. Okay. And once you do that, once you build that trust bridge, that's when they are comfortable crossing that gap. That's when they are comfortable going through with you. So, and like I said, if that bridge is in place, that's what it is that gets them to move along. That's what gets them to feel safe. And that's the moment when they say, yeah, I'd be interested in investing in your next deal. Time and time and time again, it's because people feel confident with me. It's because I've taken the time to build the trust. So you're probably not going to meet somebody in an elevator, 30 seconds later, get them to invest with you. This is something you've got to learn to build trust from people. Is that making sense? Okay. So now you understand that you need to focus on building this conversion. Like, so once you've built the trust, how do you have that conversation? Like, what do you say to them? What do you show them to, get them to invest in a deal that you don't even have? Okay. So I'm not saying to wire you the funds, but they've given you the commitment. Yep. When you got a deal, I would love to invest with you. All right. So I want to share another story with you. This is Janice, also part of the group. Some of you may have seen some of her posts. She's been part of my coaching program. And when she started working with me, she had been a member of another apartment investing program for a little over a year, and she'd never closed a deal. Within a couple months of working with me, she's able to find a partner and get a deal under contract. It was like a $10 million deal, 150 something unit, $10 million deal. And they closed on that maybe a little over a month ago. All right. So that was a big, big, big win for her. She had never done a deal. She didn't have the track record, and she raised $500,000 for that deal. So not only that, of the group of people that were experienced, she raised almost more than anybody else. I think there's only one other person that raised more money than her. And she told me she's got almost another $1 million of people ready to invest in her next deal. So she learned how to build this process, and she learned how to build this trust bridge. She learned how to implement those things. So she did that without experience. She did it without a track record, and it's worked very well for her. And she's off now looking for other deals. Is that cool? Can you see yourself being that person? Can you see yourself stepping into those shoes and saying, you know what? I don't have the track record, but I know if I do these things, I can actually start raising capital. I can make a difference. I can be the one that people call and invite me into those deals because I can solve that problem of not being able to raise capital. Pretty cool, right? So I want to share with you 5 steps to build trust with your investors. Step number 1 is be consistent. Show up when you say you will. That is huge. You've got to build trust at that level. Number 2, clarity. Really, really, really good communication. Be clear on how you help them achieve their goals, and that ties into number 3, and that's the education. Help them feel smarter and more comfortable with these investments. So I mentioned before, a lot of people don't know about alternative investments. So your job is really to help them achieve their goals. That's it. Your job in raising capital is to help other people achieve their goals. And you build trust by giving them the education to go from what they know to investing in these apartment deals. And if you can do that, if you can do that education, and you can teach them how to achieve their goals in a different way than they already know how, that's how you build trust. Okay. That is a huge secret to all of this. Step number 4 is stay top of mind without chasing. You don't ever want to come across as needy or desperate. That's not cool. That doesn't help you out. Step number 5 is be transparent. One of the things I learned early on, I remember meeting with a number of investors. I was putting together these pitch decks. I was getting people on calls. I was building out my conversion systems. And I never talked about any of the risks, for example. And I had so many people be like, well, it all sounds like rainbows and unicorns. It sounds too good to be true. So here's something you need to do. This is a little bit bonus, all right? Talk about those risks. Share with people that you know there are risks. But here's the secret. Teach them how you mitigate those risks. Teach them that you're aware of those things, and show them the things that you do so that you avoid those risks. Like, show them what that looks like. That goes a long way, because then people are like, wow, this is really cool. And you've thought about what happens if these other things happen. You've already figured that out. That also shows that you're an authority, and it builds even more confidence and trust with you. All right. Is this helping you guys out? Is this helpful for you? You starting to see how you can put this stuff in place? This is the exact same stuff my team and I do. We spent years learning how to do this, and now we do it every day. Secret number 3. All right. Don't wait for a deal to raise money. Don't do it. Please don't do it. You need to raise money before you have a deal. Okay. So fast forward a year or so from my first deal. And I had slowly been working on building my investor database. I'm not going to say I was great at it, but I was, working on actually building this investor database, but I would say more along the lines of the right way. And I was getting soft commitments. And I had a partner reach out to me, had a deal, and asked me how much money I could raise. So, being completely honest, I was a little burnt from my first deal. And I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to raise any capital, but I knew I'd been working on this system that I was putting in place. And so I was like, honestly, I don't know how much money I can raise from my investors. And what happened to me was very surprising. And a lot of these investors I had been, working on nurturing, a lot of them said yes. So not only did I have visibility into how much I could raise, I just proved to myself this is actually very possible is to raise money before you have a deal, to get those commitments before you ever have a deal. So the story I'd been telling myself was that I had to have a deal before I raised money. That whole story was wrong. What I learned is that by taking the time to raise money before I had a deal, it was way easier and way more effective than I ever thought it would be. And that was a huge aha moment for me. So are you guys familiar with the story of the tortoise and the hare? Because I think that's the best example I can share with you about capital raising and how to be successful here, right? Don't wait for a deal to raise money. You got to raise money before you have a deal. If you wait until you have a deal to start raising capital, it's like probably one of the worst things you can do. Um, the story of the tortoise and the hare is that the hare, the rabbit, thinks he's super fast, gonna run around, take breaks, and at the very last minute, he's gonna like cross the finish line and he's gonna win. And he doesn't. But the tortoise, he's slow and steady and he wins the race. So if you are the type of person and you want to get away from this, where you're like, I'm just gonna raise capital at the last moment, here's what happens to you. If you've done it, then you probably know the things I'm going to tell you. And if you haven't, here's what's going to happen. It puts you in panic mode. It does. And I've been there before. You're like, oh man, I gotta like call everybody I can think of. I gotta figure out how I can raise money. It makes you look very unprepared. Your pitch is going to sound very rushed. It's like you need the money now. You just sound really desperate. Now compare that to if you take the time to build out these systems, if you build a capital raising machine. So you're building trust, you're doing follow up, and you're getting these soft commitments. And then when it comes time to raising capital, it's easy. It's a no brainer. These people are like, yeah, I've already told you I wanted to. You already shared the information I needed. You already gave me the education along the way. Show me the deal already. Like, what is going on? These people are hot and ready. Okay. And that is how you learn to raise capital before you've got a deal. I'm going to share one last example with you. So this is Ricardo, also part of the group. He's part of the apartment investing group. And he's in another program. And he told me the same thing. He's like, they teach us how to find deals, but they don't teach us how to raise capital. They tell us it's important, but they don't teach us how to raise capital. So after about a week or so of joining my program, he sent this message to the group. He said, I just sent an LOI to acquire a 42 unit deal in Corpus Christi. And I'm continuing to add soft commitments. I'm about $480,000 so far. This is so cool. So he sent an offer. This doesn't even have an offer accepted. He sent an offer and he knows in his back pocket, he's got almost $500,000 going into this deal. That is a very cool moment. And the difference is he took the time to do the outreach. He took the time to build the system. He took the time to listen and put in the effort before he submitted, and it gave him way more confidence. So instead of scrambling to raise capital after he gets it under contract, he's already got the commitments before he's got the deal. So question for you is, how would that change things for you if you could raise capital before you had a deal? Like what would that do for you? How would that change where you're at right now? What would you be able to accomplish if you could raise capital before you had a deal? I bet you'd be able to get in more deals. You could probably go a lot faster. It'd give you a lot more confidence. I said, you'd have people reaching out to you. Hey, can you help me get into this deal? Can you help me fund this deal? I promise you that would happen. So let me give you 3 steps to raise capital before you have a deal. So number 1, start investor conversations early. There is never too early, in my opinion, to start these conversations. Don't wait. You want to start reaching out now. Start planting seeds for future deals. So here's something you can do. So after you have this conversation, you've got the soft commitment. As you're underwriting deals, as you're looking at deals, you're going to send out some information. Hey, I got this deal. I'm reviewing. I underwrote it. It didn't work out. Here's why. It's going to show them you're protecting them and their investments. Hey, I got this deal. I'm going to submit an offer on it. You're just sharing with them your journey. That's a fantastic way to get people warmed up and excited. Step number 2 is follow-up consistency. And I've said this multiple times, but you want to use this, a light touch system. You want a system that will help you stay top of mind, but not put a lot of pressure. And then what I like to do is pre-frame the opportunity. So I like to set expectations about future deals I'm going to have. This is what it's going to look like. I am not going to share a deal with you unless it looks like this. And then if it does, I'm going to share it with you. That's huge. That gets people excited. You're already managing their expectations. It's not like they've never heard anything from me before. The education's already started. And that's how I raise a lot of capital before I have a deal, just before I even get the deal. All right. So we're going to do a recap really quick. Here's everything you need to raise capital with confidence. Secret number 1. To start off with, you absolutely don't need more leads. You need to figure out your conversion system. All right. So if you're just getting started, start at the bottom, work your way up. If you've been doing this for a little while, but you're struggling to raise capital, go back and look at what you're doing at the bottom of your funnel. How can you raise capital? Like how can you have those conversations and get those soft commitments early on? Number 2 is you don't honestly need a strong track record. What you need to focus on is trust. And you do that through education and becoming top of mind. That is huge. That is the difference between, I said it earlier, but you got 2 deals side by side and you got one person, 2 deals presented to him. If you're the person that's been sharing information with them, providing them education, getting them warmed up, getting them to know you more, or someone who reaches out to them after a year or 2, who are they going to pick? They're going to pick you every single time. That's how it works. Secret number 3 is you need to raise money before you have a deal. This whole system right here works best if you learn how to raise money before you have a deal. And you can be just like those other people in the group, and you can actually start raising capital before you got a deal. So has this been helpful for you guys? Is this turning on some light bulbs for you and helping you understand that raising capital is probably a whole lot easier than you thought it was going to be? You probably have some of these things you've been telling yourself, I've got to have this and this and this and this and this. It's not true. You can actually make it very simple. So you're starting to see how you can raise capital with confidence before you have a deal and a strong track record. So now you might be asking yourself, Stephen, this is all really good. This has been very helpful, but how can I actually implement this? I want to implement this. This is great. I want to do this. I want to be that person raising capital. So I know from experience that raising capital for your apartment deals is hard and it can be very, very lonely. But what if I could help you raise your first $1 million or more without having a lot of experience or this really strong track record? Or maybe you've got some experience, but you don't know how to do it. Then show you how to scale that whole thing even more. What would that do for you? And the answer is it would change everything. It would change everything for you. Think about where you're at right now. If you look into the future, imagine if you could raise $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $5 million for your next deal. How would that be different for you? I promise you it would change everything. So I want to invite you guys into our capital raising fast track community. And so Scarlett, Janice, Ricardo, they all joined the community. They all achieved success. It worked for them. The capital raising fast track, it's a proven framework. It's going to teach you how to attract investors, build trust, and raise money with confidence, even if you struggled in the past or you're just getting started. So really quick, let's talk about who's a good fit for this. If you want to raise capital without needing a big brand, a website, or paid ads, this is going to be a great program for you. Maybe you're part of a multifamily team or mentorship program, but you're struggling to raise capital. There's just not a whole lot there, but they tell you how important it is. This is going to solve that problem for you. You've had investor conversations that went nowhere, and you're not really sure why. Probably because you're not doing the things that we just talked about today. You want a repeatable system that you can use to build trust and get soft commitments before your next deal. This program is going to help you with that. Maybe you're tired of guessing what to say or how to follow up with potential investors. That's always a really tough one. So this is going to be a good program for you. So what I want to do is I want to show you what this program looks like. Okay. Like, how can this program help you? Like, what does this look like? All right. So this really is the system. This program is going to give you everything that we talked about and more. So we're going to give you the system. This is going to help you build out the bottom of your funnel. Like, how do you close the bottom of your funnel so you don't have a leaky faucet? We're going to help you smash that issue of like, how do I build trust with people? We're going to help you get all this figured out here with your nurturing and building out the middle of your funnel. And then you'll be like, well, that's great, Stephen, but now I got it figured out. How do I get more people in? How do I get more people in? I got it figured out. I got my warm leads working. I've got the nurturing going on, but now I need to go find some more people. The system's going to help you out with that as well. We break it down step by step for you. Okay. So for those of you that are ready, let me break down everything we've got in this program and how it's going to help you solve all of these problems. So what we're doing, it's a 90-day, we've got this 90-day capital raising fast track program. It's a 90-day coaching program. It's designed to help you raise money, more money faster with less stress. Okay, so that is the whole program. The other thing that's going to help you out a lot is we're going to give you the tools. It's going to be a done for you system, a CRM and funnel build out. So you're going to get access to your own capital raising software, funnel pages, email automations, email campaigns, landing pages. It's all going to be pre-built for you. Okay. We've got this system we're building. We're going to help you get that set up and get it in place. Okay. So the whole system, because you might be thinking like, this is great, Steve, but I don't know how the hell I'm going to build all that. Don't worry. We got you covered. We got a system that you can copy and put in place. So how are we going to help you achieve all of this? So what we're going to do is we have weekly group calls. Twice a week, we meet as a group call and we give you the support twice a week. These are live sessions. They're designed to keep you on track, answer your questions real time, and give you the accountability that you need to execute in all of this. Now, you might be thinking this is all good. I got the system, I've got the coaching, but there's a whole lot here that how am I going to create all of that content? How am I going to create the emails? You know, like you got the system. So that's where we're going to help you, number one, with the coaching, but also this AI toolkit where we have these AI agents that help you define your investor avatar, write your emails, create lead magnets, practice sales calls, handle objections, and a whole lot more. So we have that to help you overcome those challenges. We also have for you capital raising shortcut library. These are step-by-step, they're messaging, email sequences. So you can always know what to say, even if you're new. And for a limited time, we're going to waive the implementation fee because we're doing our beta launch. So if you put all that together, that's basically a $25,000 in value program. Okay. There's a ton of value. Now, personally, I've spent nearly $100,000 on coaching programs in the past to get to where I'm at. And I've got a lot of education and I'm sharing all of that with you in this program. So it really is a lot of value that I'm bringing for you. But here's what we're going to do for you. Because we're doing this as a beta launch, we really want to get your feedback. We want to make this thing awesome. We want to take the things that are working best for you and double down on those. And if something's not working for you, we're going to tweak it. Okay. We're going to help you out a whole bunch. We're doing a beta launch. So we're going to give this program away for just $19.97. That's $1,997, which is very, very, very highly discounted. Okay. Here's the thing, guys. I only have 3 spots left. Once those spots are filled, that pricing goes away. It'll be gone forever. I will never come back to this pricing. But I'm doing it because it's a beta launch. I want to see you be successful, but I only have 3 spots available, and they're going to go quick. So I want to do a recap really quick. So what is everything that's included in this program? So not only are you going to do 90 days, we're actually going to give you access to the whole program for a year. Okay, so you get 12 months of access to the community, to the coaching, to the trainings, to the software, everything. You got 12 months of access here. You get a pre-built CRM software that's going to help you with all of these pieces we just talked about. You got a 90-day fast track program to help you get everything set up in the first 90 days. You get access to a community. So the community, these are people doing the same thing. You're going to be next to people who are raising capital. They are figuring this out, or they figured it out. You're going to be working with people who are in the multifamily space. We had 2 offers accepted in the last couple of weeks in the group. So you're going to be right next to people who are doing deals and raising capital. You got twice a week group calls. We got marketing and capital raising training. So it's not just about underwriting, it's how to do marketing and capital raising. We've got these AI toolkits to help you raise capital faster. We have template libraries, and we have a huge ongoing training. We have ongoing training, and we have a huge library of trainings as well. So I know that's a lot. You probably have this big question. What happens after the first year, Stephen? This is all really good. What happened after the first year? So because you're part of the beta program, here's what we're going to do. We're going to lock you in for $19.97 a year, or just $197 a month. You can stay in as long as you want for a highly discounted rate. You're going to keep full access to everything in the program. Exciting, right? Like, that's pretty cool. That is so much value, so much information for a very, very, very affordable price. And I just want to put this in perspective for you. Like, what does that actually look like? So if you break it down, for the price of a cup of coffee, it's actually a little bit less than $5.50 a day. This is going to help you learn how to raise millions of dollars for real estate deals. So do you think it's worth it for a cup of coffee every single day to change where you're at right now, to change the person that you are, to achieve your goals, to retire faster, to help other people do the same thing, to honestly make millions of dollars yourself? Is it worth the price of a cup of coffee? Yeah, it probably is. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put up this code right here. And then also in the chat here in just a second, we're going to get a link. And you can either follow the link, and that's going to be to pay for the program. You can do that today, or you can scan this and you can pay today. Like I said, there's only 3 spots available. So I would take those very, very, very quickly. So we've got that in the chat right now. What we're going to do is my team gets notified right away once that payment goes through, and we're going to reach out to you and we're going to schedule the onboarding call so we can get you plugged in really quickly into this program. Like I said, there's only 3 spots though. So you're going to go ahead and scan that, or you're going to click that link and you're going to go ahead and we're going to get you into the program. Now, some of you may have a few more questions, and that's okay. I want to answer those questions for you. So the other option you have, if you're not quite ready, you got a couple questions, we got another link we're going to share with you. You can schedule a longer call with me. It's an hour-long call. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at where you're at, where you're trying to get, like, what are your goals and what really are your obstacles? And then we're going to look at like building this roadmap for you. Are you a right fit? Okay. And if you are, I'm going to walk you through the whole process looks like. And if you're not, that's okay. I'm going to tell you it might not be the right fit for you, but I will do my best to give you the resources to make you be successful. So you've got a couple of options right now. Okay. So one is go ahead and get signed up right now. Just join the program. We'll get you onboarded. You get to take advantage of it and get to take advantage of the last 3 spots. Or go ahead and get that call booked, but I would get it booked as quickly as you can. All right, so here's what we're going to do now. If you've got questions, I want you to put that in the chat, okay? You can put it in the chat or you can put it in the Q&A. I'm going to monitor both of those. Looks like we only have chat turned on. Okay, so if you got questions, put them in here. I've got about 10 more minutes where I'm going to be on, get answers to your questions. And I got a few common questions that we get. So these are the questions that we normally get. How do I know if I'm ready to start raising capital? If you're asking yourself this, you're ready to start raising capital. If you are committed to this journey of getting into the multifamily space, doing syndications, then you're ready to start raising capital. Everybody needs to learn how to raise capital. What if I don't have a deal yet? Can I still use the system? Absolutely. I mean, this works really good. And like I shared with you, I am always raising capital before I have a deal. That's just how I work. Okay. Will this work if I've never raised money? Yeah, the three examples I gave you today, none of them had ever raised money before, but they're out there doing it. They just put this system in place and it's working for them. How do I build trust if I'm not the lead sponsor or GP? I get this one sometimes, and it's about providing the education. People think that it's about the deal. It's not. I mean, yeah, the deal's got to make sense, but I can tell you, I've seen deals where it's like, hey, you're going to get these great returns versus another deal where it's like nice and steady, and those always outperform. And I trust those sponsors more, but they've taken the time to build my trust. Next one is, do I need a website, an LLC, or a logo before I can start? No, all of that stuff can really come later. I wouldn't even recommend it to get started. If you have it, great. We can help you tweak some of that stuff and make it better for you. But really, that you just don't need it. I know plenty of people who would raise millions of dollars without a website. You just don't need it. It's nice to have, but you don't need it. What tools or platforms do you recommend for managing investor outreach? Well, I recommend that you're going to use the platform that we've created that we call Raise Genius. And Raise Genius, I love that because we're basically helping you become a capital raising genius. And that's going to handle all the outreach. It's going to handle the landing pages, it's going to handle the lead magnets, it's going to handle the emails, it's going to handle the CRM, it's going to handle the management of those people. You can even do text message outreach with that. So it's a really, really, really fantastic tool. How do I get someone interested to actually wiring funds? It goes back to once you build that trust with someone, you invite them onto the webinar, you get them on the webinar, you follow up with them, and it's a much easier process than you would expect. So they're interested, you get them onto the webinar for a specific deal, and then you get them to actually wire funds. What if I only have friends and family right now? Is that enough? And the answer is yeah, absolutely. That's a really, really good place to start. I mean, obviously, you're going to end up, raising capital from people that you meet along the way. But these are the people that are the closest to you and they'll give you the honest feedback. And some of them, even if they don't invest themselves, they may know somebody. So referrals are really big in this business. So absolutely, you could start with them. How long does it take to build a soft commitment list that actually converts? I would say that the people, you probably have people who are already in your network that they would convert very quickly, a matter of a couple of weeks. New people that you're reaching out to, you might need 4, 6, 8 weeks of building that trust and relationship. But the thing is once you start this process and you start building that pipeline, you're always raising capital. So you reach out to people, you start warming them up, they decide to invest. You reach out to people, you just build this process. So it's actually pretty cool. And then lastly is, what should I say to potential investors if I'm still building my track record? And that is, you just be completely honest. That's what you tell them. When you get a little bit further along, or maybe you've got some partners and maybe your partners have some success and track records, and you borrow that and you can say, my partners and we have this experience. But the best policy here is really honesty. Just share with them, hey, I'm new to this, but I'm part of this group, and this is the track record we have. Here's all the things I've learned. You can share with them, I would say, some of the underwriting, not a whole lot because it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. But it's really providing the education. You learn how to provide the education, you become an authority in the space, and that makes a huge difference. And then they care a lot less about your track record. So I wouldn't even worry about that. All right, folks. So I'm checking the chat to see if we've got any more questions. I don't see any in there, but I want to thank all of you for taking the time to join today. I really do appreciate it. I know that there's a lot of information there, and I want to see you be successful. I know how hard this is. I know that getting into this space and not being able to raise capital can become very challenging. I know how hard it was for me, but I've also learned how successful people can be when you learn how to raise capital, how much it can change your life. And that's why I'm offering these tools. So again, I really appreciate you giving me the time, and I look forward to seeing you in the program or hopping on a one-on-one call with you and helping you figure out if this is the right program for you. So folks, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.